young and yearning for an education.
I'm washing cars just to save money for my school fees.
But it's a long journey for 20-year-old Michelle Koza.
I support free education because there are so many students suffering out there like me to put up money for school fees. So I'm in support of them, 100% behind them.
This is one of many prospective students pinning their hopes on free tertiary education. Also disappointed at the Commission's recommendations, she is saving as much as she can. Those lucky enough to further their studies, the fight for free education rages on.
It is no different from the NSFAS that has already been in process over the years. It is no different from the fact that students are still going to be in huge amounts of debt. It is no different to the fact that students can still not have their own financial security and financial freedom. So ICL, NSFAS are just the same WhatsApp group that says to students, you are not going to get free education. Instead, you are going to get more debt.
Our government has clearly proven that they don't care about us.
A sentiment shared by Nelson Mandela University students.
We can't accept that scheme because now they want to use the struggle for the sake of gaining profit.
Because when you bring in banks and you bring in the private sector and then bring in stringent rules as to how the payment of an already problematic system is going to be, what you do is you still continue to marginalize the poor student and you still continue to marginalize the so-called middle class and missing middle student.
NSFAS says it's not practical in a difficult economic environment.
Government doesn't really have the capacity to guarantee all these loans that are going to be offered to all students. There are ways that the so-called working class or missing middle can be catered for in terms of having a system which provides both grant funding and income contingent loans, depending on household income.
Accept some of the recommendation as it relates to TVET sector and the scrapping of application fee. It is our conviction that the President must simply shed this report as cracks.
Higher education and training is appealing for calm as the report is being processed.
You should fully understand that the report does not pronounce on anything. It does not contain decisions. It provides government with recommendations on decision will be taken through government structures.
But universities are anxiously awaiting guidance from government.
Because there's nothing that we can do in the interim whilst we are awaiting the advices both of the presidency as to which of those recommendations would be taken forward and which would not be.
It's not clear what's going to happen from here on. When will the recommendations be turned into actions, if indeed they're going to be accepted, etc., etc. So the more serious concern for me is what's going to happen in 2018.
Two ministerial committees, respectively led by Jeff Radebe and Malusi Gigaba, are dealing with the report. Mareketla Motlabe, SABC News.